Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I will not dwell on company presentations. I take the liberty of assuming that you know at least something about Novo Nordisk. So I just wanted to say that, as I said last night over dinner, that we do not do CSR. Slightly provocatively, we use the triple bottom line as the term for how we approach sustainability. And triple bottom line, or TBL, is really not so much about what we do. It's more about how we do it. It's a principle of how we make decisions. And I'm going to address the notion of shared value because we actually have been doing some work in that field. I would even claim that we started doing it before Porter did, but then Porter has a bigger voice. We are currently working with Michael Porter and his team to develop a case based on what we are doing. So I think we certainly have a shared mission here. So I will just give you examples of two global challenges that we have been trying to address. That was in order to, as I said, to start the conversation about what should companies do, because we've seen from the GlobeScan survey that there are so many problems in this world, and there's so much for companies to do, and the expectations are huge. So what do you do when you're a business and you have to find out, so what would be our course? In our case, we have been looking at two particular challenges. And the way we express it here is to say, well, one of the challenges is killing our habitat, and clearly that is climate change. The other one is killing our inhabitants, and that's absolutely as crucial. So first of all, on climate change, I don't need to remind you of the graphics. We see the curves going up, and we certainly have to do whatever we can to break that curve of climate change. The same goes for what is the core of Novo Nordisk business, namely diabetes. So we see currently that diabetes, what is called diabetes type 2, the lifestyle-related diabetes, is surging in the world. And you will see particularly that the very high bars here, which is called international operations, that is China, rest of Asia, it's Africa, it's South America. This is where diabetes is hitting doubly, because it is a socio-economic burden. So if you have people who have diabetes and who are not diagnosed, then you will also see that they cannot be productive, healthy citizens. So let me just give you very briefly examples about how we address that. So when you look at diabetes, there is a rule of thumb that is called the rule of halves. And essentially what it says is that we know that there are a number of people who have diabetes. And I have to ask, are my colleagues from the International Diabetes Federation here? Good, excellent. So then you'll be able to support me on the numbers and the stats. But what we know is that we have, of all the people who have diabetes, only half of them are diagnosed. So many of them, many of us, could be having diabetes and walking around having it without really having the symptoms. So once it emerges, then it's too late, very often, to do something that is preventative. So among the half of the people who are diagnosed, we also know that only half are getting access to diabetes care and treatment. And only half of them, those, are getting the proper care. And only half of those are achieving what you call the right treatment targets, that they get a good balance so that they can lead what you can say is a normal life. Many of us here in Europe can gracefully lead normal lives because we have access and we have good treatment, we have reimbursement, etc. So this is a market challenge to fill that gap. But what goes before that is, what about all those people who are at risk? And this is where there's a major effort in preventing diabetes. So as a business who is actually currently only addressing those very few shares of the people who have diabetes, we also have to get into prevention. So we are raising public awareness on the need to take action on diabetes. And we are working with other voices in this agenda, including International Diabetes Federation, to have policies to take action. We are arguing for more resources to prevent and have early detection. And then, of course, what we can do also is to improve the quality so that we have better treatment and care. So I will not dwell on these numbers. These are just examples of some of the metrics we use in our annual report to track how we are performing. So let me just speak to, as my theme here, let me speak to the value creation, because we've talked about that a lot. And the approach that we have taken is to say, well, triple bottom line management is about value creation in two ways. It's about minimizing the downsides. That's about managing the risks. Essentially, it's about good housekeeping, and that's everything that was in the GlobeScan overview of the operational issues that you're simply just expected to do in order to maintain your license to operate. The other part, the light blue, is what is interesting. This is where it's about maximizing upsides and about driving innovation. And here you can talk about how can you drive revenues and how can you drive intangible values such as reputation, such as employee engagement, etc. And the approach that we have taken is to try and assess how can we then create and capture and communicate what we call enhanced value. So this is where we are a little bit polemical with Michael Porter, because the shared value sort of indicates that there's a pie of a certain size. And what we are arguing is that we can actually make the pie bigger. So we have a couple of case studies, and I've brought a couple here. They're available on our website, where we looked at, one is the case of how we've been pursuing a climate target, achieving the climate target, and actually also making a very solid business case that this is a good investment. The other one is an example from our core market in China, where we said, how do we work to drive awareness and treatment of diabetes in ways that are actually benefiting the society and at the same time building our business. So it's very much the same logic that we've been applying, which of course is why Michael Porter took interest in the study. So I think that I will leave it at here, and then I will look forward to having a rich discussion.
Excellent, Susan, excellent.